It's a tough day for governance in the Republic of Uganda, but we trust that through the lenses of our panel, we'll be able to find a middle ground on how do we go from here. Do we go for the protests or do we hold off the protests? And what's going to be the response of government? So our Kickstarter this morning is focusing on youth, and are they going to pull out of the anti-graft march to Parliament, or are they going to still stand their course? You also do have the rising voices of young people in the governance of their country, and will the young people protests drive a social-political change that we want to see? Well, I am Priscilla Regina Nalwoga. Welcome to Morning at NTV. Now, young people across Africa have actually changed governments in Tunisia, in Egypt, in Senegal, in Burkina Faso, and most recently impacting on governance in Kenya, as we have been following up on those proceedings. Delusioned young people also continue to take to the streets in various African cities, and the transitions to adulthood have also become increasingly uncertain. Now, economic growth in recent decades has not translated into the job creation for the population of young people that continues to grow, looking at over now 50% below 18 years of age for us in the recent statistics as far as population is concerned in Uganda. Now, you also do have greater equity that continues to divide the scale of economics, but also young people in Africa are responding to the pressures of waithood by coming out to the streets and confronting their governments at home. Now, Africa is the world's youngest population without a doubt, with majority of its population under the age of 24 years and living in waithood. What this simply means is that young people are forced to improve their livelihoods outside the dominant economic and familial frameworks, leading to political protests and movements here and there, which of course Uganda is now also taking the same trajectory, highlighting this, but also given the fact that ever since we had march to Parliament come through the corridors of social media and young people joining forces with senior citizens and debating about this matter, since then we have seen so much pressure building up, especially from the course of the weekend, where we did have the president coming out to say that there's going to be heavy deployment. He will not allow young people to bring chaos into the city nor the country. And of course he comes out to also state the fact that if you do have a right to protest, you should also consider having a right not to protest. Well, I'm privileged to be having the perfect people to have this conversation with. I do have a National Youth League chairperson that will be joining us later on, but in studios with me, a human rights lawyer to my extreme left that is going to be helping us deliberate these conversations from a legal perspective, and that is Ezra Rashande. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Priscilla.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks for inviting me.
You're a young person, and this is a very significant day for you. From your lenses, what does this mean for you?
Thank you. And indeed, I'm a young person. Good morning, viewers, and good morning, all Ugandans. Today, it is a very historical and significant day for all young people and all Ugandans who have watched Uganda from this government took over up to now. Okay. We have been following up those who were born and others who joined later.
All right.
Like us.
Okay.
Some of us were born when this constitution was already put in place. And this constitution, we did not even contribute at all the legal regime that we have apparently. And the first article, it states that power belongs to the people, and they will exercise their sovereignty according to this constitution.
All right, so this is young people.
These are young people.
Their power.
They are coming today
to
exercise their power.
Okay, making the next introduction, we do have Bad Byamukama, youth and governance analyst, that is also a young person, and giving his opening remarks.
Thank you, Priscilla. It's a privilege to be here with you again. So indeed, my name is Richard Bad Byamukama. I'm a lawyer and a student of security and strategic studies. So it's a pleasure to be here with you once again.
All right. Now, I needed these young people to speak before their boss, who's with us in studio this morning. Privileged to be having you, State Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development. And this is Minister Balambaro Gahara. Now, we are so privileged that you as a leader, a youth leader previously, and now at the ministerial level, you join us. I wanted these gentlemen to also first, say what they needed to say as young people, so that you take it into account before you come in, Ezra.
Yes.
Before you come in. And so I wanted you to hear where they are seated and where they stand in thought over what is happening that is building up momentum as of today, so that you can give us your opening remarks. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Madam Priscilla. Good morning, viewers. I'm happy and excited to be here to interact with Mr. Byamukama, a student of strategic security, and Council Ezra. I look forward to a better discussion. Let's put our country first in whatever we plan to do. If you haven't left your home, please go to work, go and work.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Avoid unnecessary disruptions that may happen if you take part in any demonstrations or any protests. Protests are fundamental rights that we must respect. However, if intelligence, like Byamukama has told his strategic security expert, if intelligence comes up with a statement, we are not sure these protests are intended for a good cause, then as government we must act.
Okay. Minister, the 7 demands that the young people are putting out, just give you a sneak peek into it. Resignation of the Speaker of Parliament, 2 resignation of the 4 backbench commissioners, reducing the number of members of Parliament. They also demand that members of Parliament involved in any corruption scandal should resign as investigations do go on. They also demand that auditing of lifestyles of all members of Parliament and publicizing it, cutting salaries and allowing all members of Parliament to 3 million Ugandan shillings, according to them, and also allowing Ugandans to continuously exercise their democratic right to peacefully assemble without blockade. What are your responses to some of the, the views of the young people regarding these demands?
I've seen the demands. They are written in Monta newspaper, so I don't know whether they are demands of young people. My call was simple. We requested the young people, as your line minister, as the Minister of Young People, the majority, to submit a written memorandum or demands with facts, with a small group of your leadership, and we hand it over to the President or to the Prime Minister or to the Vice President for action. The President listens and acts. However, if we should give dialogue the first chance, we should give protest as a next chance. Just like I mentioned in the very beginning, it is a fundamental right of a Ugandan to demonstrate or to protest, as long as it is peaceful.
Okay.
But if government find there are risks involved in a protest, protests can cause about public safety, where protesters will distort, may lead to injuries and riots. Protest may cause about disruption of the local economies. Just like the President said, people are doing business along the road. So those people doing their business will end up locking because they fear the protesters, some may be infiltrated with the wrong elements. Protests may lead to property damage. You saw what happened in Nairobi the other day. They burnt police cars, they burnt security cars, they entered Parliament, took the instrument of power in Parliament, entered the canteen, ate even raw rice. Those are some of the dangers. Then the potential escalation. They may be peaceful protests, but wrong people may confront the security forces. So if you confront, then it will escalate into riots,
okay,
which may be hard to contend. Then also protest leads to diversion of resources. Imagine nobody knew there would be a protest. You have over 4,000, 5,000 security personnel in the city to control or to guard riots. The money meant for that would have been used to buy more, to build policemen, better housing estate. But will they do a housing estate when the city is burning? So the resources of security are diverted. Then in the end, security will run back to Parliament to ask for more money as supplementary because they have used more money to deploy unnecessarily. Just like it is a fundamental right, I think we can give dialogue a first chance.
Right.
Let these young people put these demands to the president, a group of able-minded, good-thinking citizens, people with fine mind. I've seen Spire is what Professor Sentongo is. I'm one of his followers. Sometimes what he says, I like it. I support what he does. It is our duty as leaders to be accountable and transparent in whatever we do. Spire Sentongo comes up with things. Us as leaders, we should listen out to him. He's a better source. He doesn't disrespect anybody, he doesn't abuse anybody, but he says what is affecting a
And what you
man.
have said is what young people have actually been doing over the course of the past few weeks, taking this dialogue to social media. They've been having social media spaces about this. Councillor Ezra, this is where I'd like you to come in. They've exercised their rights, really, to speak about their matters and present their concerns of what's happening in their country. The minister here speaks of the fundamental rights here, the right to protest, the right to be part of what is happening in their country. However, in the context of peace, and they have had these conversations over social media platforms peacefully. Now we see, you know, government and law enforcers coming out to speculate that they will be unpeaceful. What is your stance as a council in that regard?
First and foremost, I would like to state it categorically that there is no protest in this country that the state has ever rendered it as to be peaceful. So which means they contradict with what they drafted in 1995. Now, to proceed on that, I still want to go back on Article 1 of the Constitution that states that power belongs to the people of this country, and they will exercise their sovereignty according to this Constitution. The law provides a peaceful protest. It is very unfortunate that Honorable Minister understands the fundamental right, which is a right to protest peacefully, but when he's going to talk about the protest, he talks about a riot. There is a reason why the drafter in the Constitution did not use the word riot. That shows what is in the minds of the people, sorry, of the state. Coming here on a national television to talk about a protest, peaceful protest, and he changes the word to hoodwink the people of Uganda that the young people are going to riot. Secondly, this process started 1 month back. Young people have engaged police from day one. It is on record that they even met the assistant IGP. Assistant IGP told them to go and write a letter. They wrote a letter on 17th of July. They have never been responded. They just called them, they invite them, come at the headquarters. What they talk, it ends from there. Young people went ahead, wrote a letter to Colonel Nakalema, who is a senior citizen. At the same time, he has been in the office of State House Anti-Corruption. She has never responded to them. Yesterday we had her on X Space. She failed completely to defend the state, completely. Now, the human rights we are talking about, all the youth, what they are going to do, they are very fundamental in the region and the same in Africa. These are very patriotic young people who have come out peacefully and made it clear to the whole nation that the protest is going to be peacefully. That is a very constructive word. From the start, we have said it is going to be a peaceful demonstration. All we need, we even invited the police, is to protect us as the people of this country. The police, for it has done it, like the minister has been stating, as a riot. Someone who wants to riot does not call
for dialogue.
Exactly. So the way my lenses to the minister, now he's like an axe in the forest. When the axe cuts the tree, then the axe again goes and says, since the holder is meant of a wood, I'm also with you. But in actual sense, he's not with us. But why are the young people protesting? It is only one thing: corruption. That is what they have stated. Even here in the Diamond, that's what they have stated. That's what we have stated. We are against corruption.
Which corruption affects you, affects the minister, affects myself?
Exactly. Okay. Which affects everyone. So, in fact, the young people, they have come out to say that let us aid the government. Let us support the government and say no to corruption. Now the government or the state, it is coming out saying that these young people are here to cause what? To disrupt the agendas of the government, to cause a commotion, to cause what? Which is wrong, totally wrong. So for that matter, we as young people, we have decided to proceed. So long as we know that what we are entering into and what we are advocating, we are advocating for, is in the interest of very many Ugandans who are young, who are young people. And to add on that, the young people are very organized. They are going to petition the parliament, and why we're wondering, the parliament has not yet stopped its business today.
Okay.
Which means, let me underscore this. Let me underscore this. Let me underscore this. Which means the parliamentarians, they are expecting the young people to come and petition and put their petition. Okay. If it was,
this puts you in a quagmire position. You are in between two submissions, that one is left and one is right. And you, who's an analyst, you definitely see things from your own central point of view regarding democracy. Young people simply adding to voice what is already happening. We have seen through the corridors of power that DPP is doing their part to fight corruption. You're seeing the security agencies arresting members of parliament, among other people, PSs, who have allegedly been corrupt. And however, on the side of judiciary, of course, those systems are slow or favorable depending on who's holding the power. And yet, at the end of the day, you're seeing, as the minister stated, resource diversion that is actually curbing what should be given to young people, what should be put back into the young people, and empowering them to be part of the socio-economic development. What's your response to that?
You see, Priscilla, demonstrations is a right, a constitutional right and a fundamental one, originating from the fundamental human rights of man. But in this particular context, you see there are several ways of demonstrations. So even what has been going on online is part and parcel of demonstrations. So it doesn't imply that going on streets is the only way to demonstrate against any unfair policies or, you know, anti-regime governance, anti-regime anti-regime elements. So most peaceful demonstrations in Africa tend to yield not to the satisfactions of agitation against policy change, but these are in most cases capitalized by anti-regime elements to try and seize regime capture. So in Africa, where you have seen most of these popular revolts, they have started as policy change agents. Everywhere you have seen these popular revolts, they have begun as policy change agents. But in the end, they are capitalized by anti-regime elements to overthrow regimes, and that's why government is worried at its state, because it is a legitimate government.
But I don't want you to speak in abstract.
Yes.
Give us context.
Yes.
Humanize what you are telling us.
Yes, it is. You see, government, the current government.
Give us examples that, for example, the government in this country, this is how it started and ended up in this direction.
When you recall what transpired at Tahrir Square in 2011, when Hosni Mubarak was being overthrown, it started as a mere mobilization on social media as a fight against corruption. So it ended up into a large masses of people in Tahrir Square. You remember the fall of Sudan, of Omar Bashir in Sudan. So, and we have seen whether when the regime, when these elements and policy change agents are capitalized by regime elements, by anti-regime elements, it doesn't require mobilization of political parties or, so there are many forces that want this regime to change. We have homosexualities. They're injecting lots of money and lots of online campaigns against the regime, those homosexuality agents. We have foreign forces that have their own interests in the government of Uganda, or in the economy, in the social setup of Uganda. So there are many invisible forces that are willing to change the regime in Uganda. So even if these protests are not mobilized by any political parties, so if government takes them seriously, the government can go. You saw what happened to Gotabaya Rajapaksa in Sri Lanka. The government went without any single mobilization from any political party. There was no any political party involved in the fall of the government in Sri Lanka, Gotabaya. So when you see, that is the biggest problem of Africa. So and on another note, when people go onto streets, you don't guarantee the security of the population, of the other people who are not on the streets. Acts of wanton destruction, theft are always at the forefront, because people come on streets with different intentions. We have seen in Kenya most recently, the president of Kenya was giving his State of the Nation speech. He told the nation, the whole world, that over $18 million was destroyed in Kenya. So who is to pay for this destruction? Definitely the taxpayers, the people, these demonstrators. So the demands of these young people, very young people, are very genuine, because we have seen instances where millions of money have been wasted in those offices to go and play sex in Nairobi. So I can't go into agreement with that, but I don't support going on streets, because most of the peaceful protests in Africa have yielded less as agitation against policy change, but they have resulted into destruction. And when the security, the police and the intelligence.
So therefore the young people shouldn't exercise their right to protest.
Even online protesting is protest. So just because my fellow Munyoro here, we should tell the administration that whenever these young people protest online, their demands should be heard, not to just threaten them or to imprison them.
Minister Balam, the demands have been heard, and it begs the question, how does government intend to move towards meeting some of these demands?
One, I want to thank the young people for voicing out their demands, but I've told them government does not work on social media. Social media is one form of communication for young people. However, I would encourage young people to put their demands and sign those demands on a paper, put their names, so that they meet His Excellency the President, or they meet the Vice President, or the Prime Minister, and have their views heard. You see, I told you, we have so many people with sense of mind, people who can sit and think for this country. Personally, before I joined this government, I am, and I'm still a member of Patriotic League of Uganda, and I'm the Vice Chairman of Western Uganda. The reason for its formation, one of the main reasons was to advocate for transparency in society, to advocate for zero tolerance to corruption, to advocate for accountability of leaders. And those principles, I stand by them. I thank my young brothers and sisters. However, the formula they are using is not the formula we would wish to use. Let us give peace a chance. Let us use dialogue and round-table talks. Identify your leaders, and they sit down with His Excellency the President. He will listen and he will act. You cannot just make demands on a newspaper and say these are our demands. There are people who have had successful protest, even without a single bullet. Mahatma Gandhi in 1930 in India took part. There was a protest that took part when they were fighting the British, the colonialists that time, on the over-taxation, on over-ABCD. It led to the change of government. So we can have such without fighting, without coming on the street. But once security forces identify threats to property, to destruction, to diversion, protests can lead to riot. There is no riot that started without a protest. Council Ezra. There is no single riot that started when there was no protest. However, if security assesses that we have a danger, if dangers are happening in superpowers, why would we lose young people? It is also important for us as government to listen to these young people and give them alternative sources of earning. Other than earning, we always think they are earning from others. We should give them a way out to earn. We should not focus on agriculture and animal husbandry. We should allow them also, we should put more funds in ICT. Mm-hmm. The time they waste on ICT is quite a lot. I know we have a lot of Elon Musks and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs amongst them.
They're not wasting time on ICT. They're utilizing ICT as their alternative. But before we all get into response to what the minister has said, we do have David Musiri, who's been one of the campaign managers of March to Parliament, 23rd July. Joining us online, you see, Honorable Minister, the young man is using ICT very well. Good morning to you, David. Minister here in studio makes a comment and says government does not respond to social media, yet you have been using social media to build up momentum to
They should write down something.
Talk to us about that, and good morning.
Good morning, Priscilla and the viewers. I think Minister Baram is out of I think technology. I do not know whether he's a millennium or which kind of generation he is, because I think now he speaks like General Kaguta Museveni. One of the things that Priscilla, the youth are ready to hit the streets. I think I have heard very well guys in the studio. Very many people are reading this situation to the situation of Kenya, which is absolutely not proper and very wrong. The issues in Kenya are very different with from the issues of Uganda. First of all, it is actually the dictators, tyrannies in Africa that have egos, sometimes that escalate situations. Our demands are very clear, and this protest is one, leaderless, two, partyless, three, it is tribalist, but most importantly, it is very priceless and fearless. Therefore, ours is about corruption, and our demand is one that Anita Among, the Speaker, the custodian of Parliament, should resign, because a lot of corruption has been going on Parliament. Therefore, Priscilla, you know, some people do not appreciate history and do not appreciate precedences. There are a lot of precedences that have been set. Today, as we speak today, there is a wave on the continent of Africa, not only in Kenya, but in Gambia. The youths of Gambia stormed their parliament. Ghana, the youths of Ghana stormed their parliament. Today, the students of Bangladesh are storming they are storming streets, and they are protesting peacefully. You see, I want also to talk about one thing about the regulation of police. It is not also true that police can harbor or stop peaceful protests, because our constitution is very clear, and no one is above the constitution of Uganda. At Article 21, Article 19, Article 29, 1D, states very clearly that there is freedom of assembly, but also freedom to protest peacefully with others. We know that the police can come in to regulate, and that is what the youths are waiting, that police can come and regulate these protests. How do police regulate? Because it is very clear also, and it is stipulated in their act, that one, for example, if the youths are saying that we want to use, for example, Uganda Rail Ground, and it is near, for example, Ginger Road, which is a busy road, then the police can come and tell the youth, no, now we are giving you another venue. For us, actually, we thought that police would come and give us, for example, National Theatre, where there is no busy road, so that they can guide this peaceful protest. But amazingly and amusingly, also police has become partisan. Police is also like the minister in studio. I want to thank the councils for the wise counsel, and I want to wait to hear from you, Priscilla, but the youths are very ready. As you see in my background, floods are here. We have had different diversions, because that is what the government decided to do. They have had diversions. Now, yesterday we saw police arresting leaders at NUP headquarters. But we were very clear that this is non-partisan, and it is partyless, leaderless, and tribalist. Therefore, I want to tell you, as I speak today, I don't speak as the head of institutions of NAP. I speak as a common youth and a common citizen of Uganda. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, David, for your submissions. The hashtag on Twitter, hashtag 23rd July 2024, is having people coming out to voice how they are part of this campaign. I am Mordecai Eyobu. If I don't return, just pray for my soul. I am joining the march against corruption. I will carry myself entirely to the streets. I have no kids, no house, no wife, no home, no social security, and nothing to lose. And these are so many of them who are coming out to say, I am so and so, this is what I have, and I'm choosing to go to the streets. If I don't come back, pray for my soul. Let me turn to Councillor Ezra here. Earlier on, you and I were having a debate of if the government has the power and ability to respond like this, to something that has been running on social media, March to Parliament on the 23rd of July 2024. That means that they also have the same power and ability to actually cause and force the change that the young people are calling for, dealing with the stench of corruption through the corridors of power with an iron hand and fist, as they're showcasing between yesterday and today, isn't it?
First and foremost, Priscilla, I think the question you're setting to me, you're showing that the government has the power to do what the young people are protesting for, to fight corruption, not so? For us, I've told you that power belongs to the people. The government has been here for 30 years. Corruption has been going on. If you remember the walk against corruption organized by Kano Nakadema, where the president participated and moved up to Kololo, it was to fight against corruption. But from that time, what has changed? In fact, corruption has increased. It is the reason why young people have organized themselves and said, no, enough is enough. We are going to aid the government. These are young people who are very patriotic. These people who are in these positions of ministers, some of them, they are in 70s, they are in 60s. These people alongside, young people alongside, to see what is going to happen to the future. And they will be the one in charge at that particular time. I want to state it categorically, Priscilla, that you cannot respond to people's pain by arrogance. Even the honorable minister to sit here and say that you cannot use social media to petition, that is arrogance of the highest order. You cannot use newspapers. Why is he here? Definitely it is IT. He's talking to the whole country, the whole world. But again, he's contradicting himself, saying that you cannot use. Why is he here to discuss? That is the highest level of arrogance that this government has. And as young people, it is why we want to move and say that even us, we want to participate in this fight of corruption. We feel disaggregated. We feel marginalized.
Against corruption.
We feel exactly.
Yes.
It is against corruption, and we are using the law. We are following the law.
All right.
We are following the law. He stated it. Article 29. It states it clear, and it gives the youth the power to participate in their protests, peaceful protests. And we have followed all the measures, starting from the police, and we called it regulators. And regulating us, it is not to prohibit. You cannot say you're going to regulate, but you're prohibiting. But
to guide and help you and protect you.
To guide us, protect us, nothing should happen. Because at the end of it all, other people may join and cause what? And cause ruckus.
Okay.
But for us, what we want to see is peaceful demonstration, not the arrogancy of these police.
To make a response, but I do have Stephen Bide, who is on ground, and he's around Parliamentary Avenue, to just give us a picture. Early on at about 7 o'clock, we saw that, of course, there was barricades all over Parliament, and now we want to find out, are there sites of any protesters near Parliament, and what's the security there right now? Good morning to you once again, Stephen. What's the ground picture?
Yes, good morning to you, Priscilla, and the guests in the studio there. But the picture there on your screen is the one of the entrance of the Parliament of Uganda. And the situation hasn't yet changed because all the roads that are surrounding this 11th house are now being surrounded, guarded by police, military barricades set up by the security agencies. And also at the entrance here, you still see that there is limited access. Only those who are parliamentary staff, members of parliament, and the security personnel are the ones allowed in, unless you are on appointment that you will be meeting anyone on the 23rd of July 2024. The rest of the people are not being allowed. That also explains why this place is now, there are no many people accessing these premises. But also we have to know that today the Parliament of Uganda has to resume business after a 1 month's recess. And for now, I can assure you, I've just only seen the government chief whip, Honorable Den Samson Obua, entering, and a few MPs who will be meeting in the morning before they resume the afternoon session that is expected to be taking place. But we wait to see whether that will happen. But now let me turn to show you that the picture coming off the Ginger Road joining this Parliamentary Avenue is only vehicles of those who are walking around these premises after showing identification and proof that they are walking around these premises. For example, Minister of ICT, like that vehicle coming on the picture there is one that belongs to the Ministry of ICT, but the rest of the people, even if you wanted to just pass by, you only have to identify yourself that you are a member, one of the people who are walking around this place. Now we can see there is that member that is coming. Many of them have been patrolling these streets, and two are now on the way coming towards the Parliament of Uganda. I've seen military police on foot patrol, but also I've seen police officers on foot patrol. But these members are those that are many of these are around Ginger Road, coming from Chiseka, around City Square, around Nile Avenue. You see such pictures. They've been moving, patrolling by use of those members, but also on foot patrols, military, police personnel, JAT, Joint Anti-Terrorism Unit. They are also on ground. It's only after you prove that you are walking around these premises. So that means the businesses around this Parliament Avenue, Nile Avenue, King George Way and Kimathi Avenue are going to be affected today, because many people would be coming to buy from you. If you have a shop around this place, they are not able to come. But also those who are working here, I'm told some of them were told to work remotely. They can work from their home and then just send in their work by use of computers and the like. So it's going to be a field day for the journalists around this country, because all the focus is on the Parliament of Uganda, when we anticipate to see whether the young people are able to march to Parliament, or the security agencies will also be able to quell this what they've termed as a peaceful protest. But as we know, they have the 7 demands. The young people are saying that they have to see that they pass over the message to the people around here. But that is the picture. That is the way. That is King George's Way. That goes past Ginger Road, up from the other side of rail grounds, next to the petrol service station, joining the Parliament Avenue. That is the picture there. You can see those who are coming on foot are just being asked to prove whether they are coming this side. Anything you want to hear from me, Priscilla, I'm ready to ask.
One, how are people being identified as those that actually walk around that area? Because you do have other entities whose business has to go on as usual, and they have to access their premises and their offices. How are they being identified to be able to access their workplaces so as to have a peaceful day?
You know what happens here when you get to the checkpoints? You first of all identify yourself by either name, like that lady who is speaking to a police officer. You say your name, and if they wish, they can even ask you to bring your national ID or your work employee identification to show. For example, are you working around the IGG's office, Inspectorate of Government? Are you working the Jubilee House? Are you working at Bowman House, or those offices, some of the officers are able to know that these offices are along this Parliamentary Avenue or Kimathi Avenue, or even that side of Siadbar Avenue. But also those who are working along that Dewinton Road, at least for you, you are able to access that side from the other side of Spear House near Ginger Road. So for those who are able to be identified, they are allowed to cross towards this side. But those who are not, they are being chased away. Like that picture, if Kayondo Brian, who is on camera here, can show you, there's a young man who is struggling to explain himself that he's walking around this place, and he has to convince these officers who are manning these barricades that they are walking around this place. But other than that, you are turned away without any further explanation.
Ground, that young person is surely still struggling to explain themselves. By mere fact that they are young, they are being targeted right now, and they are a threat as of today. Hashtag 23rd July 2024 across social media platforms. Again, so many other people coming out to make a stance of what is happening. They state their name. I'm so and so. I'm marching to Parliament to fight for our rights. Hashtag stop corruption now. Hashtag Anita must resign. Hashtag Uganda is not Kenya. Bring it back to studio with my guests here. Bud, I know that you wanted to respond to something, but in your response, I would also like to respond to a question that I do have for you. One of the alternatives you say that protesters can use in this day and era is social media platforms, which these young people have actually been using, and there have been successful engagements that they've been having on those platforms with spaces and responses, and also getting voices from different sectors to speak into the matter of march to Parliament. Whereas the person seated next to you on your right states that the government is not about to listen to people through social media. So isn't that a conflict?
I would request him to recall that statement, because it would reflect sheer arrogance, like he said. Yes. Because I've been telling you that governments have fallen because of social media. In Egypt, in Sri Lanka, in Sudan, all those regime changes have been effected because of social media. So you can't, the government itself has social media handles. Who is government communicating to? So if I wanted to send a message right now in Kagadi, it is faster if I used a social media handle to send a message to Kagadi or Chenzige. So the population in Kagadi will receive that message very faster. So social media is a channel of communication, and I think the president and government should devise means on how to publicize.
If we use social media, not using soda accounts, fake accounts, it would be very nice.
No, but these are not fake accounts, Honorable. These are accounts of people who are visible and unknown by people. Okay, you talked about Spire, Honorable.
We were together yesterday on a space hosted by Solomon Serwani.
I was there.
Yes.
Is that a fake account?
Yes. So social media is
Spire Sentongo's account a fake account?
Government.
It's not.
Yes, government should be.
How many members of parliament were on it?
So many. Governments should be so keen on listening to citizens' demand, because even if protests are queried today, because it is under the Police Act, under Section 32, subsection 2, that the moment police detects there could be maybe obstruction of peace, it can stop the procession or the planned demonstration. It is illegal. So, but it can be curtailed today. But if government does not respond to these demands, these are genuine demands from the population. So if government does not respond to these genuine demands on social media, that because government does not work on social media,
let me interject a bit.
Still, it will range on the next week. Yes.
I want to ask you something. The president of Uganda, Mzee Museveni, is 79 years old. The president has a lot of work on his desk. It is always appropriate to have a record and also to have ownership of who is communicating. Whom is he addressing? He's addressing young people. The young people have leaders, just like they have even lawyers like Ezra Rwashande, who's the son of the president. So Ezra Rwashande,
I'm not the son of
listen
the
to me,
president.
Ezra, you're a grandson of the
I'm
president.
a citizen of Uganda.
Very good. Yes. So Ezra Rwashande and all the other citizens of Uganda of 45 and below, let's get organized. There are forms of protest. One of them is the street protest you wanted. The other day the president addressed the nation. He said, let young people get organized, walk silently to Kololo airstrip and talk the whole day. And this is what I'm here to offer. I'm here to tell you young people, wherever you are, your voices will be heard.
So if that was the offer of the president, then why not with the interact? First, wait.
Just hold on a bit.
First, hold on. Minister.
Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something. Let me have this one. Minister, if you say that was the president's comment, there's been enough time between when the president made that comment and engagements through police and the protesters and their team leaders to actually guide them accordingly to what the president has advised, that, hey, look here, you can protest, but you can only protest to Kololo independence grounds, and you've been given that space to be able to voice out your views. Why wasn't that information then permitted and granted ability or motion to be able to use this very same day
Priscilla,
to guide them?
I want you to understand that the people who wanted to organize a protest, the young people who wanted to organize a protest, initially gave up long ago. The people who are jumping on this protest have been known by government and have been identified. They are not the other young people. The other young people, they talk to them. They even told them, listen, we can listen to you in ABCD. They had pledged that they will write a petition.
Okay.
Because
Ezra, first hold on. This is new information we are getting.
would have come with them as a minister.
New information that we are getting is that there's different people that have jumped on.
You're not going to see them anywhere.
That is the arrogance we don't want.
Honorable Minister, could you state to us these people that you are referring to that are now using this protest as a gain?
They met the police.
Could we have some names, please?
No, it's not right. I will preempt the investigation.
All right. Let me have Ezra respond first.
My colleague, I would like also to state it clear, as you cannot quote a second act against the Constitution. And even the courts have gone further to state that the fundamental rights are not yes, exactly. The courts have gone further to state that the fundamental rights are not restrictions, but they are fundamental rights. So where there is,
Have the courts nullified Section 32?
It has not nullified it, but what I'm stating the ruling that it has given, that fundamental rights are not those restrictions, but they are fundamental rights, which is a right to protest, which is Article 29. So to move further, the young people have made it clear that this protest, it is peaceful, it is tribalist, it is partiless, it is fearless. In that we are aware that the government has manpower to do whatever it has, whether shoot young people, whether tear gas, but it will be on record that the government that liberated these young people it is the same government that has again done what? Killed them. It will be on record. And there is no one who is above the law.
All right.
I want to assure you, whether you're a minister, whether your police, your head of police or CDF, at a particular point you'll be brought to record. Okay. Another thing I would like to put clear. I don't know whether Minister Balam, who is here apparently, we are protesting about corruption. Are you aware the corruption that is in your docket in the Ministry of Youth? 800 million in the National Youth Council. I have your message that you sent. Has been disappeared with no accountability. And you made it clear. And you made it clear. And you said we shall done what? We shall look for the way how we find that money. Is that money found? It is the reason why we are protesting.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, we start from the top.
Yeah.
Big monies,
right.
where we lose 10 trillions per year.
Okay.
Because of those.
Let me talk
corruption.
to David,
Yes.
then we'll have the minister respond to that letter that he wrote to the National Youth Council. David, you're still with us? You've had the submission so far from my panelists in studio, and I know that you do have some responses. Some new information that has come out through the minister here is that the original forerunners of this protest have been having secret conversations with the government, and now you do have different people that have jumped on to push for this protest, hence the response to government and by government that we're seeing on the streets of Kampala this morning. How true is that?
Actually, the new people who have come up.
Let David please respond to this.
For regime change. Most of according for regime change.
There is no news against regime
It is
change.
very fortunate. I would not want to call it because the minister I would not call his statement yapping, but he sounds to be very incompetent, and he sounds to be speaking as a promoter. I think he's not anchored on truth, and I do not know if he knows the roles of his ministry. The other thing that the constant has been intimidation. You know, we had a linkage by people consenting their signatures and putting their emails. The 4 young men that were excited that they are part of the team, but of course took the role to notify police. And you know, when they were notified, police came up with allegations that they had not been notified. So they got the 4 young men, squeezed them. If you want to have proof, you can go to their X handles or Twitter handles and find out the truth. Even numbers are put there. They have posted the numbers on their handles that are calling them every time, squeezing them. And the government had plans to parade them as if they are the ringleaders of this protest. This protest, we want to be, and I want to assert myself against. It is leaderless, it is tribalist, it is partyless, it is priceless, but most importantly, fearless. We know that the kind of Baram are still doing their duty as political blockers. They are getting a few heads of people, taking them to General Museveni because I know he's very anxious and because he's also an old man. So they are trying to go and pick a lot of a few leaf notes to splash it to people. And I want to be still very assertive about the statement hashtag Uganda is not friendly. You see, some people have not followed up things in Africa and in other countries on the continent. It is only the African leaders that exert excessive force to the peaceful protesters that can escalate things. Because Kenyans wanted to protest, and it was about the financial bill 2024, and it was about the financial bill 2024, and I want to tell you, it was a peaceful protest, not until Ruto thought he can do whatever. You know, Ruto is a student of General Museveni and wanted to sit around people, show his egos, show how he has met Biden and how he sat in the chair of the president of US. That is what they do. And I want to warn security agents that are watching me. Do your duty. Regulate these protests. We are peaceful protests, and we are coming at exactly 10. We are going to hit Parliament. Whether you like it, whether you have, there is no level of intimidation that can burst from coming. Nothing will stop the young people. And I am telling you, Baram, I think I want to advise you, since you did Bachelor of Commerce, you actually did Bachelor of Commerce external at Makerere University, and you did marketing. Please, I think you need to revise, go back and read, go take a leadership course. This is not the promotion you have been doing. And we want to tell you, if you do not tamper with us, if you do not shoot anyone, we shall peacefully protest. Our number one demand is Anita Among resign. And that's it. So whether it's reading things, people are reading things of Kenya, we can end up like Kenya, if that is what you want, Minister. But we want to thank the vice councils, council Edra, council MTs, council Musi, council Katana. We want to thank Nicolas Opio. We want to thank even the medical doctor, the medical team that is on board, led by Dr. Joel Milembe. Okay. We are coming, whatever it takes. Priscilla, we are welcoming you. What we pray from
so I have a question in that regard, David.
Whatever the Kenyans did, that we can have you on the streets.
All right. Speaking of which, I know that you are choosing to go forward with the march to Parliament, and we beg the question, with all the heavy deployment, what is the strategy for being able to achieve your objective for today?
Just like I have said, that there is no level of intimidation. You know that this government has always intimidated people by putting members and let them dare shoot anyone. We are coming. Of course, we have strategies. We shall gather where we think it is very, very safe for people. Then we shall come to the Parliament, because that is where we are supposed to come. The rest, I cannot speak. I cannot speak it. I cannot say it here on the national TV of NTV. But we want to applaud you. We want to thank you for giving us this space. The rest shall be covered and await to see us there. We have a lot of plans. This is a generation. I was wondering. That's why I was wondering. I don't know whether minister is from which generation that is not even aware about the technology. I do not even know if he knows even artificial intelligence. So that's why I was advising him to take a course out of, he speaks like a flamboyant drunkard man in studio. It is very, very absurd. It is very, very absurd. Just like councillor that I said, there is corruption in his office.
Yes.
Don't just pick at us to come to your office to demand for your resignation.
All right. Of course, we're going to talk about that corruption. But David, one more question that I wanted to find out from you. There was the option that was given to the young people to have this peaceful protest tilted towards Kololo airstrip and onto the Independence ground, so that you can be given a full day and air out your plight from there. Was this a request, was this information ever aided to you at any one point with the interaction with the different agencies of police, to mention but a few?
The government decided to, I think those, we can treat them as allegations. We came out to call police because we wanted to work with police and the sister agents in security. But they decided to play the Hura Baru, the Hig-Haga, the hide and seek. They are saying you have not been notified. Tomorrow they are saying these 4 people are here. They were persuading them to parade them actually to go to Parliament and write a petition. So the rest is allegation. It's just background noise, because that is actually from inception, that is what we wanted, that we can come and work with police, because we are Ugandans and it is just our constitutional mandate. We are not, of course, very many people are going to be criminalized for doing what is right. But if they wanted that, they can still have a time. They still have 1 hour to go. They can still come out. And because we are coming, let them come and make a statement and say we want to regulate this protest, come to Kololo. That is what, as I said from the start, that we wanted the police to come in and regulate, because the regulation is only that if they are afraid of us using the busy road, like Ginger Road, let them come. If they give us national theater, we can even gather from there. So we are peaceful protesters. That is the constant. And we are law-abiding citizens of Uganda. We love actually this country than even the ministers and the president, the dictator himself. Lastly, let them not forget that the president himself made a precedent when he protested using his feet. He moved around where he went as guerrilla, as rebels. And last week, we had protesters from Remiaga who came to protest with the reason of the absenteeism of their honorable Sech Kubo, and they were given a leeway Parliament.
All right, David.
They even entered Parliament.
Okay.
The gates were widely open. That's what we exactly seeking from whoever is in control.
Okay, thank you so much, David. I will be getting in touch with you later on in the course of the day. Now, we want to just have lenses over some of those areas where we know that they have quite a number of young people. For example, in Nkumba, we do have Ivan Walunyolo, who is on ground to give us a picture of the voice of young people. Is it becoming a reality? Are they gathering to march to Parliament from that side?
Well, indeed, Priscilla, this situation is calm, I can say, General Ntv, apart from the deployments that we've seen from last night. And if you can see places like Ntv Town, Katabi, and here where I'm standing currently, the men in uniform are doing what they are supposed to do according to the RDC, to deter anything that may turn violent in the day. As we know, many people have promised to take a march onto the Parliament. If you can just see a feel of what is behind me, these are some of the security people that are protecting the streets that have kept here from yesterday night. And when you're driving along Entebbe Road, Mpala, wherever, there are those foot patrols, but also you have those that are moving on trucks. And according to the RDC, nothing wrong apart from deterring those that are intending to march to Parliament. But with me is the exact man, the RDC for Entebbe Sub-District, Hakim Chiribwa, to just tell us what the situation is like, what do they anticipate in the day. Good morning and welcome with me on Morning at NTV.
Thank you. My name is Chiribwa Hakim, the RDC of Entebbe Sub-District. The situation is normal, the deployment is okay. We are just on making sure that the property and the people are safe. As you heard on some group was saying that on 23rd they will march to Parliament. That's why we are making sure that the people, property and the lives of the people are protected. There's nothing to do with the teasing anybody. There's nothing to do with the distracting anybody.
Okay, I've seen even in the villages those who are on foot patrols and going the other side. Did you anticipate there would be groups maybe marching to Parliament from this side? And from your intelligence point of view?
Yeah, as you heard, some group we are saying they will march to Parliament today. And as government, we must protect the people and their property. That's why you see there's a deployment, but to make sure that the people are safe and the country is safe.
Should this cause any worry maybe for those borders and the rest of anything? Should it cause any panic?
No. Uganda has now the capacity to protect the people and their lives. So there is no any worry. People should do their work. As you have heard the president on Saturday, the economy is growing. We are now at 55 billion. By 1996, Uganda had collapsed. The economy was at 1.5 billion US dollars. We are moving currently to 500 billion. The economy is growing. People should work. There's nothing to do with any worry.
So your message is that people should not be worried, should not panic in any way. The men in uniform are doing their job.
This is very normal. We are people's army. This is people's army, people's police. So there's nothing to do with any worry. People should do their work. Okay. We are making sure that the country is safe, the people's property are safe, their lives are safe, and those that will bring havoc, we shall go for them.
Okay. I want to thank you for making time to speak to us on Morning at NTV.
Thank you, NTV. Thank you, Uganda. Please do your work. The country is safe.
Okay. Well, that is the RDC for Entebbe, Hakim Chiribwa, just giving us a perspective of what security is like. But like I earlier said, if you get to the Mpala interchange, there is deployment, trucks, everything. Katavi, you go to Garuga and the rest. But of course, he says they're there to deter those that are intending to march to Parliament. But business is normal. People should not be worried apart from their deployment. Yes, of course, we're also keeping tabs to let you know what will be transpiring in the course of the day. as we also follow the way things may unfold. But now, Morning at NTV will take a very quick commercial break and return shortly after. Good morning.
Well, the reality of the matter is that all my panelists this morning are in one accord. Why do I say that? Corruption unites them all. Blue suits unite them all. And red blood unites us all. We've been joined by Jacob, and we asked him why he was late. Jacob, why have you come late to this discussion when you are a national youth leader?
The whole city is barricaded. I took about 30 minutes to move 1 kilometer in the stretch of town, so it's really hard to get here.
Okay. Are the young people doing the right thing?
I think in demanding a conversation on accountability, young people are doing the right thing. To say, let's have a talk about accountability in Uganda. And I think they're just following the demand of the president to say this issue of corruption is a problem in Uganda, and all of us, and he calls us the wananchi, need to be involved. So I think whether they are demanding the right thing, I think that's important.
Okay.
The only thing that's questionable is the approach, but the demand is not questionable.
All right, so they are on the right course. Now, speaking of demand for accountability, well, you joined us when we are having the minister here in a hot seat. There's a letter that Councillor Ezra that was referring to that he wrote to the National Youth Council, and he was really asking and querying the accountability of 800 million Ugandan shillings, one of the corruption elements that are under your docket. Talk to us about that later.
First of all, I want to thank Ezra for bringing it up. I received a petition from 3 young people last week, Chisacha Mukama, Kichoncho Brenda, and another young man called Muyingo from Mitiana. They wrote to me asking me, Honorable Minister, are you aware our NYC, which is an independent body established 30 years ago, having their own office in Ntinda, have spent 800 million for an activity which has been cancelled. I told them, look here. One, as far as I know they were meant to have a function on the 12th NYSAT 30. Unfortunately, they had invited us and the president to preside over that function. We were not able to come because we were in Chankwanzi. So 3 or 4 days before the event, Jacob Eyeru, their chairperson, met my minister, Honorable Beta Mongi. They met and agreed that they postponed that activity since none of us will be there to preside over their celebration. So when they cancelled the activity, it was a duty and a responsibility of my young brother Jacobo and the executive at NYC to communicate in detail to the young people, which they didn't do. So when they asked for accountability, I told them, yes, I agree with you on transparency and accountability, and I put it to them. So as of yesterday, Jacobo wrote back to me, because I advised them, one, if there are companies that you paid and they did not work, they should all refund. 2, if companies like a food caterer was paid and he has used the money or he doesn't have that money, then he should make a commitment that he will serve on another set date. So that is what I told Jacob, and he responded that letter. I will ask him to speak more about that. But I wanted to assure them on their allocation meeting, it is done by them as National Youth Council, and they have been doing that for the last 30 years. Government give them a vote, they get their own vote, and they manage their own vote as National Youth Council, and they have their own head office in Ntinda, where no minister is not a signatory. Our work is to guide them and to listen to them. But as regards to NYC at 30, we never had a meeting with them regarding on how they are going to spend and what they are going to spend in their docket, because it is their money and they have a leadership. They have a whole accounting officer who's an executive secretary, who's like a permanent secretary, who's charged with the affairs of that. So I'm glad that when I spoke to the ES last night in the evening, she told me 3 of the suppliers had supplied. I told him so many times government hires my service. I'm a supplier of government. And just like I'm a medium taxpayer, 465th taxpayer in Uganda. But if a function is cancelled, I have 2 options. Option 1 is to refund to government its money. Option 2 is to write a commitment that you gave me the money, but I had a financial stress. I used it. I'm ready to supply you the same service on any other day that you will give me. That is how we do it. So that is what Jacobo and team had failed to tell their delegates. That is the reason why I wrote to them. Yes. Okay. So Jacob, I will ask you to answer, to add more to that.
Well, I wanted to answer, but Mrs. seems to say no. I wanted to answer.
No. You answer.
Of course you have to answer. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the minister for writing his letter. As the time I was responding, I had not received a copy, but as told, we eventually landed at office. And I want to say that it's important that we are all accountable. Secondly, the information in the letter the minister responded to was of public interest. And that information came from certain members of the National Youth Council to say, we heard that 800 million was utilized for organizing and it was not accounted for. Now, at the time the letter itself was written, the money itself was still under big expenditure. Why? Because we had decided to send transport support to districts. And that transport support started being sent on the 8th. Now, because there are 146 districts and you send that money by mobile money, by the time we called off the event on the 9th, on the eve of the 9th, we had actually not sent money to all the districts, but we had sent money to some of the districts. So we took a decision at the organizing committee level that no, then send all the money to all the districts and ask them to now utilize that money to reprioritize it to monitoring district activities of young people. First, I need to say, the National Youth Council that I lead started decentralizing financing, where it has never happened before in the 25 years. When we came in, we said, no, I think money needs to go to districts to help monitor youth programs at the district, because that's the implementation point. Where is YLP, where is PDM? And that's what we wanted to do. Now this money, even if we had sent no transport, we were under duty to send districts money. So we said, no, we shall complete. Now, by the time this allegation of 800 million came, first for me, I laughed at it, because none of the organizing committee members, neither myself, nor the executive secretary, nor the national executive of the National Youth Council allocated any 800 million for that event. Nobody did that. So this, for me, I said, people are just throwing a spanner in the works for accountability, and I was very happy. I informed the minister accordingly that I actually wrote to the president about the implication of the postponement of the cabinet retreat on us, and I informed it that the National Youth Council will lose a lot of money because we already paid service providers. Some of the service providers, and I'm happy the minister has mentioned it, after this issue of the 800 million came up, some of the service providers were already in conversation saying, no, for us we can refund the money. But most of the services were already paid for. For example, T-shirts were made before the 7th. All right. The decision was taken on the 9th.
Thank you for that clarity.
We had advertisement. There's so many things.
Okay. All right.
Oh, and I have to also mention, I even told the president the amount we had spent.
To which you give an extensive one. However, speaking of letters, I know that Councillor Ezra also, there's one letter that was written to Colonel Edith Nakalema, a request to schedule a meeting for young people with His Excellence, and on the request was being made for a Sunday, the 28th of July, and at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds. And so I'd like you to clarify on that later in regards to what the minister has been previously saying, that the president accepted to have them march to Kololo and meet them there.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. First, there is something I had not yet brought up, but since my brother Jacob Bayali is here, I want to first state it clear that first and foremost, leave alone the profession, I'm a youth activist. I'm a former I'm a fourth Speaker National Youth Parliament of Uganda. I represented Uganda in the East African Youth Parliament. That's where I come from. That's the reason.
You should add supported by the National Youth Council as well. So
which is okay, because it is your obligation to do that. So, like how we supported you, eh? So for that matter, That's why I brought that 800 millions, because I'm still a youth. I used to respect Jacob Oyer so much, and with high regard. But the day you put aside youth and you join much politics, you were compromised so much.
What is much politics?
Politics entered into your head, and you left the issues of young people, and you started venturing in different forming political parties or a young movement, something like that.
The Yellow Youth Movement.
All right.
The
so
Yellow
which
Youth
conversation
Movement.
both of you can have over a
yes,
cup of tea?
I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to show you. Yeah. Back to conversation.
Because I have 5 minutes and Bad is
Back to
bad
conversation.
Yes.
Reinstate your question. Reinstate your question.
He's asking you to
No, regarding the letter that was written
office.
to
Yes.
Nakalima.
We wrote to Colonel Nakalima that letter, requesting her, in her capacity, since we are aware that she has been in the State House, she has been working and even in anti-corruption act for 3 years in the State House. We knew that she would be the first person maybe who could even listen to us, and since that's what we felt, because we tried to reach out, these ministers you see, they don't pick the calls. Some of them will come here and even say that we never see any call.
Okay.
So Nakalima, we wrote to her, and the letter is there, the record it is there, on 28th. The president, I want to state it clear, that the president, the response took longer in that when they saw that the protest was escalating, that's when these people started coming up and saying that the president has. We need a letter because
so
we.
There's no factual
there is no letter
it's just
or
posters marked that are telling you that the president has said.
That the young people.
Similar to what.
Since we wrote to them, we expected a letter.
Similar to what the Wasubuzis also had.
Exactly.
So many middlemen in their community.
A lot.
He's going to meet you there. Okay, but as you respond to what has been said.
Madam, can I offer to mediate the young people, the lawyer of the young people?
You see, politicians are like Basco tires.
I want
they
you to respond
to pressure.
At the end of the day, the young people are actually using the platforms and the tools that they have today. First of all, it started with a pothole exhibition, and look, there was a positive response in that direction. Then it went to the health sector, and then there was also some responses in that direction. Then it came to the exhibition on Parliament, and we also what came out, and it has led to what has been dubbed as the march to Parliament today. The reason why we're all on table today. So social media is a tool that the government has responded to. True or false?
It is
actually, let me first rescind my earlier communication when I said government does not follow much what happens on social media. But as one of the form of protest is online protests, it is one of the forms of protest, and I'm one of the beneficiaries of social media that I respond to most of the allegation or most of the concerns of a common man. So that was a miscommunication. I need the viewers and the panelists to forgive me on that. We can listen, but probably 80% of people in government don't have time or don't follow social media.
Or don't take it serious.
Or don't take it serious.
Okay, all right.
But the 20% like me,
all right.
I take it serious.
So, but you have a minute to give response, and then we close this conversation and wait for the protest.
In management of any organization or society, communication is very crucial. So, if these young people, their modes of communication is social media, attend to their demands because they have genuine demands. So, communicate. Those people who studied political science or public administration do study a lot about communication. So you can't manage or preside over a society or an organization and it succeeds without communication. Listen to the demands of these young people, address them, respond to them. So we are not, as a country, we are not yet in a hopeless situation, a situation of hopelessness. I found people around Kafumbe, Mukasa busy in their businesses. We are not yet in that hopelessness situation that calls for, regime change, where regime change is the only option available for the population. Because by the time we reach that state of anarchism, there is no amount of police force or military intervention that can stop the population, like it has been in other states where the population has exploded. So government, it should be a commitment by government to listen to the demands of the population, not to act in a panic mode like at this time. These demands should have been addressed long time ago because they have been ranging on social media. So even right now, if these demands are not addressed, still
we are having the same
protests
issue,
will range.
having different faces.
Yes.
It's corruption through the potholes, corruption through medical supplies going missing, corruption through parliament and the exhibition, corruption in the face of cooperatives.
There is a writer called.
And so I want
There's a writer called Daro Nachimogulu and James Robinson. They wrote a book called Why Nations Fall. So the origins of poverty, wealth, and prosperity range in, having democratic institutions.
Thank you so
the moment the institutions are
but I'm out of time. I need
to
give Yeru, what's your commitment to the young people moving forward in 30 seconds, and then your boss can say
first and foremost, I'm very happy that this 800 million thing is now clear. Nobody stole any money.
Commitment.
The commitment is I am going to make sure I engage with the minister at the earliest opportunity. We get a meeting with the anti-corruption chiefs of State House. The president has indicated will for dialogue and to listen to young people. And young people, their interest must be to be heard and to influence.
It's funny that you won't have the dialogue with the young people first and then you go. See, that's what they were referring to. Honorable Minister, your commitment to the young people in ensuring that corruption is addressed at the end of the day.
They don't look at where to start from. They are running up because they have their own interest.
Minister.
One, I want to call upon all young people of Uganda, kindly stay in productive activities as of today. I appeal to you, don't go on the street. We can protest in a more silent mean. We can use petition. We can use sit-downs. We can use public gathering in an enclosed secure place where your life won't be compromised, where you will not have dangers like when you go on the street. So I offer myself to work together with the anti-corruption agencies and Office of the President and Office of the Prime Minister and Office of the Vice President and Office of the President to have these matters resolved as soon as possible. We should hear from you, and it is our duty to be transparent, to be accountable, and also to be respectful, and also to honor fundamental human rights.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen. All right, thank you so much, gentlemen in blue. It's a tough conversation, but let's wait for the realities on ground. David Musili says that they're going to march on nevertheless, and they will not be threatened by security. So let's wait for the dawn of day tomorrow to see what would have transpired. Also, our lenses are going to be on ground. #NTV News. You can continue to follow the build-up of the protest march to Parliament. Thank you so much for having been with us on Morning at NTV. Good day.